Well, that program, it is unique and it has been valuable for me to present to clients in selling homes. It gives me strategies and ongoing training. And it's about positioning, timing, and creating urgency the right way.
Welcome to the Dream Home Podcast, the show where real estate meets real talk. Hosted by John Nagle, a seasoned expert with over $7 billion in real estate financing experience. This podcast features top realtors, builders, and financial pros. Whether you're buying, selling, or investing, we've got the tools to help you make smarter moves. Here's your host, John Nagle.
Welcome back to the Dream Home Podcast, where we explore the people, communities, and strategies that help turn your dream of homeownership into reality. I'm John Nagle of CMG Home Loans. Today, I'm joined by Shoba Jagernauth, a Tampa Bay area real estate advisor with Coastal Properties Group International and Forbes Global Properties, serving clients across St. Petersburg, Clearwater Beach, the Gulf Beaches, and expanding through Pinellas, Manatee, Sarasota, Treasure Island, and Pass-a-Grille. In 2022, Shoba was recognized as a top performer, ranking in the top 5% at her previous brokerage. She's also 72 sold certified, and she credits her success to her commitment to clients' home aspirations and the support of her family, faith, and gratitude. Community involvement is a cornerstone of her ethos. She dedicates time to the Sally House Children's Shelter and supports organizations like St. Jude and Shriner Children's Hospital. She also is experiencing an exciting family chapter, having brought her daughter Kimberly further into the business 6 years ago, following in her footsteps. Shoba, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, John. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here today. It's a pleasure.
Yes, so Shoba, in your words, what are your superpowers as an agent?
Well, I think it's mostly local knowledge with deep roots with the market. I've been in Tampa Bay since 1987, and I've watched St. Petersburg transform. It has just been amazing to see the difference where we are today. And that's helped me to guide people with real context, not just the data.
Yeah, absolutely. The world has definitely changed, and you're in a dynamic market there, that's for sure. So your background is unique, over 3 decades in sales and 15 years in banking. How does that translate into real estate results?
Well, banking has taught me precision, structure, and risk awareness. Sales taught me people skills. In real estate, that becomes strong negotiation and calm transaction management.
And you're also 72 sold certified. What do you love about that program?
Well, that program, it is unique and it has been valuable for me to present to clients in selling homes. It gives me strategies and ongoing training. And it's about positioning, timing, and creating urgency the right way. So in being in a buyer's market, it has been great to help sellers to move forward.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a very strong thing to have during the buyer's market, especially. And what do you think sellers misunderstand most about marketing a home?
Sometimes they think it's just the photos and a sign in the yard, but real marketing is pricing strategy, presentation, exposure, and urgency, plus strong communication once you have offers coming in.
Absolutely. And a lot of buyers feel overwhelmed. What's your approach to make it simpler?
Well, I'm very intentional when it comes to buyers and showing their properties that they're interested in. I don't believe in showing 25 homes, as many agents do. I have a real one-to-one approach with the buyers that I sit down with them to understand their needs, their goals, their wants, their price point, and all of that. And I coach them to narrow it down. And then we typically tour the best 4 to 5 homes at the max. It saves time, it reduces a lot of stress for the buyers, and it helps them to choose what really matters to them and help them to move forward.
Yeah, and I think that makes so much sense because it's very hard to remember homes. And we have had that experience of having, looking at that many 18, 20, 25 homes, and it's just impossible to really understand what you just went through because there's no way you can remember all that. So it's a good strategy to narrow it down to those 4 homes so that they can remember what it is that they went through and decide, which ones they like the most.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it makes it so much less stressful.
So one of the most common questions buyers ask, do I need 20% down to buy a home?
That's a really good one, John, because many people are still on that mindset that they do, when not necessarily in this time that we're in this market that we're in. Many people don't realize there are programs that can help with lower down payments. And that's why they really need to team up with a great lender. And I'm not just referring to a bank that they've been banking with for 30, 40 years. I'm talking a great lender that gives them all of the options out there that works best for them. Surprisingly, there are so many great options out there. I've helped so many buyers that thought they could not buy. They couldn't afford it. They didn't have the 20%. And I've gotten them into a home and got them into a closing, and they can move forward with home ownership. The key is getting educated early so that you know your options and with a great lender.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And, we at CMG have options including 0% down, 3% down, 3.5%, 5% down. So you definitely do not need to have 20% down today because we're making these opportunities more affordable for people that, haven't saved up that's a lot of money to put 20% down on a home.
Absolutely. Absolutely it is. And sometimes there are some buyers that are looking to purchase multiple homes, and it helps them with it when they don't have to put 20% into one home.
Yes. So another common question, pre-qualification versus pre-approval. What matters when writing an offer?
That's such a great one, and it's so confusing for buyers and such a huge misunderstanding when it comes to the pre-qualification versus the pre-approval. And the pre-approval, it's about strength that matters, right? I had a client when I started a couple years into the business that said, "Oh, I'm great. I'm ready to buy. I've got a pre-qualification letter from my bank, and I'm ready to go." And we started the process, and then come to find out the bank couldn't move forward with the loan for those buyers, and they were so hugely disappointed.
Oh.
And then I went and reached out to the mortgage lender that I was working with at the time to help them get into a mortgage that they could move forward with that purchase of that home. So it's very, very important, especially in competitive markets. Sellers want confidence and clarity. I always encourage buyers to get as solid as possible before they shop.
Yeah, and here's another question. What's the one thing buyers can do right now to become more attractive to a seller?
Well, I mean, they've got to get fully prepared. Financing, paperwork, clarity in what you want, really. Mm-hmm. Prepared buyer moves faster and they negotiate smarter. And with a great realtor and a great lender, they can help you get all those on your agenda and get it done. Have the clarity that you need and get prepared with the financing and all the paperwork so you can move forward.
Yeah, that's actually a good point because you really are a team, the realtor and the lender, along with the buyer, because I can't tell you how many calls I get at 8:30 on a Sunday night from the listing agent, because they want to know, well, how qualified is this buyer and that sort of thing. So we're happy to do that because you're part of the team.
Exactly. And when I'm working with the seller, that's exactly what I do. I want to make sure that they're qualified. I get right away on the phone with the lender to make sure that these guys have been pre-qualified and they are approved and they can make that purchase.
Absolutely. And when buyers are touring homes, what should they prioritize?
Really, when they're touring homes, it's one thing I really try to stress and help them to understand. If this is a home they're just looking for, it's a first-time home, or they just need some more space, and it's not their forever home. It's not their home on the water or on the beach. It's not their luxury home. I emphasize that it's not going to be a perfect home. What's important to you? Location, the layout, how long will they need to live there? Cosmetic things can change, but fundamentals are everything. I help the buyers focus on what actually impacts value and lifestyle, and again, focusing on what's important to them at this moment.
And then let's shift to sellers. What is your philosophy when someone says, I want top dollar, but I also want a smooth experience?
It's really preparation, the presentation, and positioning. Pricing isn't just a number, it's strategy. I build a plan so the home shows well, markets well, and attracts serious buyers. Sellers, I usually advise them they typically don't get what they put into the home in a buyer's market, which we're in right now. They will not. The buyers, they want and they expect the upgrades, but they don't necessarily want to pay extra for those. The huge things right now are like for getting insurance in our market. It's things with the roof and some items for a 4-point to get your insurance with like the air conditioning, the roof and things like that. Those are big items, and that's what the buyers look at right now. So if there's a home that may need a roof replacement within the next 5 years, I would recommend to a seller perhaps to get an estimate on that and give the buyer half the credit or a full credit, depending on their offer price, right?
Mm-hmm.
To help them to make that offer and move forward.
Yeah, that's a good idea, because then that takes a worry about that what if and when I need to replace that roof, because they've already got that built in. So that is a great strategy.
Absolutely.
So a big seller question, should I make repairs before listing or sell as is?
So it depends on return. Sometimes small improvements create a huge lift. Other times we price accordingly and still market aggressively. And I coach sellers based on what creates the best outcome. What they've put in already and how does it show? Can we do some staging, and can we address some small items, which we'll probably talk about a little bit more.
Okay. And another hot one, how do I time the market? Should I wait?
Well, timing matters, but strategy matters more. The best time depends on the seller's goals, really. Mm-hmm. Their next move and what inventory looks like in their specific area. So it's really not, for me, it's not like timing the market. Like over the years, I've worked with buyers and sellers, and they've talked about that. And I've kind of looked at it like the stock market, like how do you time it? And so really it's all about their goals and their timeline and what's their next move. And I help them to meet their goals.
And what are 2 to 3 high impact, low cost improvements you often recommend before listing?
Well, truly, you'd be looking at a big one is decluttering and deep cleaning, small touch up like paint and staging, perhaps maybe simple furniture replacement. Those can really change buyer perception immediately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's surprising how the many homeowners won't see that, and why it's such good to have a resource like you that can help point those things out to, make that home in tip-top condition to present the best that it can, based on.
Oh, yes. For sure. Yep.
So Shoba, here's a situation that comes up more than people realize. When a buyer is short on funds at the closing table, maybe it's a few $1,000s, what are some of the ways you problem solve to still get them to the finish line without the deal falling apart?
Well, this is a really big one, and I recently had this happen again, and it's happened before. Sometimes, when you're working with new buyers, first-time buyers, and they're excited to get into their first home and stop sending a rent check every month. So when we get to this part and we're just one step away from closing and handing them their keys and seeing the joy and the excitement in their face and their smile, I slow everything down and look at the full picture. What's negotiable? What's adjustable? What's realistic? We can explore seller concessions, credits, changes to terms. We can communicate quickly with all parties involved, and that's very important to be able to reach everyone that you're working with. That's part of this closing. Sometimes it's about restructuring, sometimes it's about the timing, and sometimes it's about people stepping up in creative ways. And my mindset is just let a manageable gap. We don't let a manageable gap stop at anyone from becoming a homeowner. So I find the solution. I always believe there is a solution. And if that has to come from me to reach into my pocket and my bottom line, I will do that any day to help a buyer to move forward and get those keys and move into their home.
And that's exactly why I wanted you on the show, because that mindset is rare. You're not just processing a transaction, you're protecting a person's future.
Yes, and it's a great feeling to be in that situation and be able to say, I can make a difference for someone, and I can and I will do this, and have them move forward. And that's one of the great things I've been trying to teach my daughter as well, because it's so impactful. It may be small to some people, and it's so huge to that buyer, but it's so impactful. And I'm grateful that I'm able and I can do that and I can make that choice.
So when something like that happens, how do you keep emotions calm? Because people get scared fast.
Well, I explain the options. I set timelines and I take responsibility for driving the resolution. And, I just guide my clients and I let them know we're not done. Let's see what our options are so we can move forward.
And community is a major theme for you. Tell us what giving back looks like in your life.
For me, one of my big thing has been Sally House, and it's the children's shelter over in St. Petersburg. We've been doing that for over 20 years with my daughter since she was in kindergarten. And so it's a temporary home for children. They can be 2 years to, actually, I think 18 months to 18 years old. Wow. They're in the home. And when they started out, they had about 10 or 12 beds, and then they rebuilt the home. And I had contributed towards that. And now they have about 24 beds there for kids. And so we started out with, in kindergarten, how her class was sponsoring them. I did not know about them. And it's a very private shelter. So it's to protect the children's, their identity and all that. And we started collecting stuff to donate through her school, and I reached out to try to get connected with them. It took me several months. The school helped me to make a connection that I would like to be involved and bring my daughter. And we would volunteer, and we would bring the best part that we really love, and she's enjoyed. And I brought my son at the time till he was older. It's bringing meals for them, and they don't really get pizza because they're on like a state diet. So they love when we come and we bring pizza, and we bring cupcakes and fruits and box juices, and we serve them and we talk to them. And it's just been so fulfilling. And we try to do that a few times a year with them, especially Thanksgiving and during our birthdays and stuff like that. It's been really, really fun and rewarding. And watch them. And we'll see different children, babies, older kids. And they're so grateful. And that's been very inspiring for my children. And we continue to do it. And I hold my daughter to it. And I told her, when I'm not around any longer, you will be doing this. And she said, yes, I will. So that's been really great. And I love to give back. So St. Jude Shriners, the Children's Hospital, I love to give back, and I do monthly donations there. And I'm going to expand out to Make-A-Wish Foundation and the Tunnel for Towers, supporting our vets as well. And so, again, like I said, I love doing that and giving back.
Oh, I love that. Now let's talk about something really special, bringing your daughter Kimberly into the business. What inspired that decision?
Well, she came back from FSU, graduated, and she did business and marketing. And that was during COVID. And I said, if you don't find something that you love, how about us working together? Because she had some experience with the real estate business with me and my broker prior to going off there. And she did some online work for me for marketing while she was at college. So she had a taste of that. And I said, yeah, let's talk about it. And then she researched and looked at options and came to me and said, okay, Mom, let's talk about this. And so here we are 6 years later. It's just been great. I think for her, my most impactful thing that I try to get her to think about as we work daily to help make a difference for clients. It's truly making a difference, and it's about making people's lives better. So it's been wonderful.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what's one lesson you're most intentional about teaching her?
It's really about being independent and enjoying what you do. You really choose how you spend your time. So in real estate, we work for ourselves. So it's very important that we choose how we spend our time and the independence that we have. Enjoy what you do, serving others.
And what parts of the business does Kimberly gravitate towards most right now?
So she's been very efficient with the contracts, helping me with the contracts, keeping track of all our important dates for clients. And she's very efficient with helping me with pricing when we're helping seller to price a property to put it on the market. And we don't just price based on what's sold in the last 6 months or 3 months. We have a pricing strategy with the 72 sold program that we work with based on competition. She's also wonderful with helping with staging suggestions, showings, and marketing. So you can see she's been a real asset to our business.
Yeah, that's awesome. If a parent is listening and thinking, could I build something like that with my kids? What advice would you give them?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It is a way that you can encourage your child, your daughter, your son, and give them independence and, show them how they can learn to grow, manage their time, their space, and they can be independent and they can work with you and they can bring so much of their strength to your business and help you serve more people out there and give great service and make a difference. Absolutely. It's wonderful.
Yeah, that is awesome. And then you mentioned you're always eager to learn and grow. So what's your focus for the next year?
So my focus is to serve more clients, obviously. I have expanded over into the Manatee County, Sarasota area, which includes Bradenton, Palmetto Parish. I want to help more people. Sometimes when I was working over in Pinellas alone, just seeing the need for people to step out a little further in location and see the options that they have out here, especially with new construction, and it's much more affordable. So I just want to serve more people. I want to help people make their dreams come true. I want to teach and educate young buyers so that they can see that it's very important for them to understand their options and they can make the right choices for them and their families, especially the ones that are renting, and they can see that they can go out there and find something that works for them, whether they need down payment assistance or they need closing cost help, that they can work with someone like you, John, and find a loan that works for them and they can get those assistance that they need. and they can move into their own home and build their own equity and start building their portfolio for real estate and becoming a homeowner and seeing what that means and what the benefits are versus sending a rent to a landlord every month and it's like throwing away that money. Now, I understand some people that's the only choice they have or the options, but let's talk about teaching you and helping you and getting you where you need to be, whether it's in 6 months or a year or a few years down the road. Let's start the process early and get into that education mode so you can learn, grow, and do what's best for you and your family. And I also want to help people that are moving up into the luxury homes here and wanting to buy larger homes on the water and things like that for them and their family. So it's all about building dreams, helping people see the reality in that, dreaming big, and making your dreams come true and giving great service, and also continue to do the charities that I want to do and be a part of and help more of these, like helping the vets and the Make-A-Wish Foundation, adding those to my charity list that I do. So
awesome. That's awesome. So Shoba, thank you for being here and the way you show up for your clients, family, and community. If you're in Pinellas, Manatee, or Sarasota, and you want an agent that combines strategy with heart, Shoba Jagernauth is someone you should absolutely connect with. We'll have links to her contact information in the show notes. And if you're listening and want to explore mortgage options or get pre-approved, my team and I at CMG Home Loans would love to help. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe, share it, and we'll see you next time on the Dream Home Podcast. And Shoba, thank you so much for taking time to join us today. We really enjoyed visiting with you today.
Thank you so much, John, again for having me. It's been a pleasure. And I look forward to be on here with you again in the future.
Thanks for listening to the Dream Home Podcast, hosted by John Nagle. Ready to take the next step toward your dream home? Visit www.dreamhomepodcast.com for resources, tips, and expert advice. If you enjoyed today's episode, subscribe, leave a review, and join us next time for more real estate insights and mortgage tips. Until then, happy home hunting.